Assalamualaikum, it's Faisal from Muslim CEO, and I just wanted to share a story about a trip that I went on a few years ago. It was to China, so I was going to like the trade fairs and things like that, and I went via Dubai. So there was some huge differences I noticed. Obviously, there's some lots of similarities. They're both very wealthy and very successful countries and things like that, but one thing I noticed about China was even from the prep you have to do before you go, you have to download like a VPN and like because they don't have Western brands. You can't use Google there, Facebook, YouTube, all of these things they don't really allow for unless you use a kind of VPN. Even other brands that are like that we know well on the high street, whether it's Shell in terms of petrol station, whether it's Visa or Mastercard, whether it's I don't know, Costa Coffee or something. So literally, they don't really have any of these things over there. What they have is Chinese versions. So they have obviously WeChat, and they have all of the kind of the equivalents. Um, and for me, this is really, really interesting because when you then compare that with Dubai or the UAE, obviously this is where mass globalization is here. It's a huge tourist spot, and so every single Western brand you can think of is there. There's brands that are in the US that haven't gone to the UK, but they've made their way over to Dubai, as a truly international kind of hub in that sense. And so, which is better? What obviously from a sort of short term perspective, you could argue that okay, Dubai is really really great. When we go there, we feel that everything's at our fingertips, and we're around brands that we love and stuff. So okay, that's great. It ticks at the tourism box, I guess. But what I found really interesting about the Chinese kind of approach to it is that they've got a different objective. They are all about building long-term success, long-term infrastructure, long-term economic prosperity. And so, why would we accept, someone else's brand and someone else's software or someone else's company when we've got the talent in our country to do it for ourselves? We've got the following in our country to do it for ourselves. And so what this does is that they have created unicorns and massive brands for themselves, and this is why they have that economic kind of sort of prosperity to the point where you could argue that they're the most powerful country in the world. Whereas with the model that a lot of the kind of Muslim countries have gone for, taking a lot of the Western brands, etc. I mean, this is you could take this as far as if I was to ask you to name a really famous Arab brand other than the airlines, so Emirates or Gulf, or you wouldn't really be able to, or Etihad, you wouldn't really sort of be able to. That's like a household name. And so for me, this is a bit of a problem, and this is something that we sort of strongly are trying to champion, or we're trying to encourage that. As Muslims, we also have a massive audience. We've got lots of talent and stuff. So we should be starting to think about creating our own brands that that change the world. So because you can see why it's done kind of for the Chinese, and we've got a really really good example there to think about when we want to build our own infrastructure, our own ecosystem, and to ensure our own economy thrives, inshallah.